If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
Sunday morning. Law enforcement. What's going on with the quality of life in our country? What's going on with law enforcement in our big cities that sometimes it's not being enforced the right way with the local politicians or the local governors. With us this morning is George Venizelos. George has been with the FBI for almost 25 years. He was in charge of the New York area for 4 years, which is one of the longest serving assistant directors in charge. George Venizelos, you've been with the FBI, you've been in law enforcement all your life, and last week President Trump got together with Kash Patel, the FBI director, and he's using the FBI, it looks like, to have law enforcement in our cities, in our country, where in some of the cities, states, there's a lack of law enforcement. Give us your evaluation of what the heck is going on.
Sure, John. Good morning, and thanks for having me on your show, your great show. It's. I have to give credit to the Trump administration, and a lot of the selectors open it up. A lot of the cities are suffering because the weak DAs aren't enforcing violent crimes, and the Trump administration has put a priority on making our big cities safe again. And this week he had a joint press conference with Kash Patel to go over some results of an operation they had, a 4-month operation called Operation Summer Heat that the FBI was in charge of. And the results were staggering. I mean, over the 4-month period, they hit all the major cities, all the crime-ridden cities, and they cracked down on violent crimes, and they ended up arresting 8,500 people in 4 months.
Wow!
And they seized 2,200 firearms during those raids. They broke up 170 big gangs. They broke up around the country, and this was done as a task force. It was with the local police, the state police, and the FBI. Led the task force. It just shows what law enforcement can do when we all work together and try to make these cities safe again. It's so important for this country to have safe cities so these cities can operate. And I have to commend the administration for making this a priority and commend the FBI for taking charge.
Well, George Venizelos, you've been in law enforcement for between the DEA, I think you spent 4 years there, and like 24, 25 years in the FBI, for a long time, for 30 years. What has gone wrong in our country? What has gone wrong in some of our inner cities where the crime... are the socialists taking over? You tell us what you think is going on.
My opinion is the socialist or some outside source is destroying our cities by putting these DAs and mayors in place that don't care about crime, don't care about violent crime. They take the side of the criminals over the victims. And we've seen it around the country now. Look at what they've done in San Francisco. I remember San Francisco was the number one city in the country. They've destroyed that city. Chicago, destroying Chicago. L.A., destroying L.A. Philadelphia, destroying Philadelphia. And it's all starting because of the lack of law enforcement and the lack of cracking down on these criminals. And these criminals are running the cities. Look at Portland. You have Antifa, they're taking over the city. It's crazy.
Who's paying Antifa? I mean, if you stop the next 100 people that walk by the restaurant next door,
Right.
and you say, who's Antifa? Nobody knows who Antifa is.
Right.
Who is Antifa, and who's paying them?
Well, again, my opinion, I think there's a lot of our enemies around the country are financing a lot of this stuff to try to disrupt our cities and to try to destroy our country and destroy our way of life, the democratic way of life. And that's what's scaring me about New York now with this mayor's race. We already have a bad DA in Manhattan that's soft on crime. We have the no bail, and now we put in a socialist mayor. I think crime's going to run rapid, and if crime runs rapid, it's going to destroy the city and destroy the country. There's no doubt that there's influence to create this chaos, to have agitators in these groups, in these protests, to finance these groups like Antifa. Again, I commend the administration for classifying them as a terrorist group, because they are a terrorist group. They're terrorizing our cities. They're terrorizing our people. They're terrorizing our way of life. They're trying to intimidate us into affecting the way we run our lives.
I mean, George, the fact is that our borders have been under attack. There's drugs coming into our country like it's going out of style. So between the drugs, the borders, where do we go from here? At least I think I'm looking at it as President Trump has the pulse on what's going on, and he's trying to use the federal government and whether it's the DEA, the FBI, to come to law and order and quality of life in our country.
Absolutely, and that's what also happened to our cities. You had all these illegal migrants. You had all these jails being emptied from other countries. You had all these bad elements coming to our cities. That their way of life was crime. That's the way they operated in their countries. So that even made crime even worse than it was in our cities. So I commend the ICE operations trying to get the violent criminals, the murderers, the people off the streets, because these people don't care, and we can't be bringing their way of crime and life into our cities. And they're doing. I think the Trump administration is doing all the right stuff and cracking down on violent crimes and cracking down on the fentanyl that's coming to the country that's killing hundreds of thousands of people a year. They're poisoning our people too. They're hitting us from all different angles, from violent crimes to poison. It's sad.
George Venizelos, FBI, 25 years, DEA, 4 years. Thank you so much for coming on. And this discussion has to be, there's a lot more things to discuss about these threats to our country. And thank you for coming on this Sunday morning. And we'll continue it maybe next Sunday.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy.
Download and subscribe
at BeBullish.com.